This is the Natural Resource Inventory and Mapping Committee, April 16th. We have a quorum with 3 out of 4 of us this evening. So I'll call the meeting to order. It is 6:40. I don't see any public online or in person, so we will proceed with our wildlife survey progress and additional GIS work. So I sent you the update from Erin about wildlife progress. Let me pull that up on my computer.
Okay, I'm sending it to you. It's the Road with the Salamander Rescue is what the title, but within it are.
Yeah, that might, you know,
Oh no, I don't have internet. Oh, gosh. I thought I was.
Well, it's right here.
It is, okay. Oh, I got it. Just couldn't find it. Yes, we are. Yes.
okay, so the update is that Jeff has wrapped up the available parcel reviews for wildlife, and there still is budgeted time available, so he could do some habitat assessment with less focus on tracking if more landowner permission was acquired. I haven't heard what landowners would be helpful, so I guess that's one question.
There we go. So much for.
What did Kitty do?
I knocked over the.
Rubbed against it or
Yeah,
decided
of
to
course, yeah,
pat
rubbed
it?
against it. No, rubbed against it.
So in our contract with them, he had 20 hours for the road tracking, the rapid road tracking, so he completed that. There were 10 hours for natural community verification. And what I learned when I went out with Jeff is that Michael had already done that using road systems to verify, so that's why we didn't hear any landowner permissions needed. So that part was completed. And then he has been doing the wildlife field evaluations. He had budgeted 100 hours for that. He doesn't say in the email how much they have remaining. So I'll have to follow up with them and to understand what additional habitat assessments would be done and how that would be valuable.
Right. Sandy, could they not take this and tell us where we are right now?
Yeah, communication's a little sketchy, so
okay.
Yeah, it was just, yeah. So Erin, who does the GIS, will be launching into the remote habitat modeling, which they allocated 35 hours for that. So that's pretty time consuming, based on comparing that to some of the other things already.
Could we, by any chance, I have such a hard time getting my mind around this. I'm hoping it's just because I wasn't in it from the start. And not that I just can't figure things out. But could they tell us, are they satisfied with what's habitat information they have or tracking information? And it says Jeff has wrapped up the reviews with the available parcels. There's still budgeted time available, so he could do some habitat assessments with less focus on tracking if more landowner permission was acquired. So does he feel he needs to, or does he feel like what he's done thus far gives what's needed? Is that something we could find out, or if
Yeah,
I mean,
that's sort of what I
try to
mean.
find
Yeah.
out? Okay.
What is the habitat assessment, and how is that different than what he's been doing? It sounds like mostly what he's been doing is going into the parcels and identifying, what species are there based on tracking, because that was the value
Right.
of the snow. So habitat assessment would be different, and maybe that's a quality judgment. So you have a certain habitat, but what shape's it in, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Well, but then what is habitat modeling that he uses about the next?
Oh,
That's remote, that's remote sensing. So you don't see on the ground, oh, there's this rock cave that something could be in.
right.
He's looking.
That's more connected habitats, how perforated is the habitat, those kind of things.
It's sort of a data crunching thing. That's what we're
It
doing
is.
here, right? It's like a statistical likelihood thing.
Using
right,
spatial analysis,
right.
though.
Yeah. So Sandy, I think we're talking about the same thing, but what I'm also wondering if, for instance, he's done other towns, say Jericho and Johnson, fairly close to us. I would think it would help us to know, given what Jeff has done thus far for us, is it comparable to what he did for Jericho and Johnson, and could he get comparable results or as valid results as he felt for them, or does he need another layer of habitat assessment to feel confident, to have confidence in what he's telling us? Like how important is it, and especially perhaps compared to what has already been done? Because you and I saw that modeling opportunity, and it's so phenomenal in terms of being able to help assess for us, the Conservation Commission, the townspeople, the DRB, where important areas are. So I think that Sandy and I sort of lit up thinking, wow, this actually gives us answers or statistics about where to go, and that was valuable.
When did you see that modeling?
I need to send you that link.
Might have been February.
Oh, it was
for Jericho.
Jericho Conservation Commission meeting that Aaron Worthley was invited to, and he was explaining to them what he does with modeling and showing them, right, the results of the modeling they did for them, and how they rated it, how it rated all these different points or values within the system. So I need to remember to send you that one.
Yeah, I don't seem to have that link either, and it would be helpful to go back to it.
Okay.
At this point, they don't have time to do something as intensive as what was done for Jericho in terms of the habitat assessment. He says that's very involved. And right now it sounds like he will just barely be able to finish the remote habitat modeling that he's required to in our agreement. So that's a different thing. So imagine the forest blocks, and you want to know about where animals are moving and that kind of thing. Okay, that's the sort of information we're getting from his remote habitat modeling. What they done for Jericho was they took all the forest blocks and they did some spatial analysis about them in terms of size, borders of them. It's more, a lot of it was about forest fragmentation.
Right.
What kind of communities are in each one, and so therefore does it include a lot of rare ones, or is it more the common ones? So they got a rating about each one of those, and So depending on what the town's looking for, you can kind of assess, okay, this one was most important for this one was most important for
Right.
that. And I don't know how much of that they'll be able to do without that specific modeling. Certainly they did some work with the forest blocks because we can see it um, in the information they gave us. It's just that it was so crystal clear in the analysis that they did for Jericho.
So Sandy, I think I need to follow you back. Why can't they do that for us? Or why is there not enough time? What
We
is it?
didn't specifically ask them to do that.
Okay.
But did we know that we had to?
I
I
could.
That's, at this point, that's water under the table.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
So
they assumed we wanted a very intensive wildlife assessment, and
Okay.
that's what they've given us.
so if we wanted to, just in the money aside,
Yeah, yeah, baby, go with it.
if we wanted to do that, it sounded to me like you were indicating a time issue, like there's not enough time to.
So the way that our agreement is, even though they didn't sign it until, I don't know, the end of August or something.
Yeah.
We only have money for this town fiscal year, which ends the end of June. And the town likes to have everything finished by the end of May so that they can get the invoices in this year.
I
So
see.
it's that's the time thing. And Jeff had asked me if there was a possibility of extension, and I said no, because we have budgeted
Because
this
where's the
for
money?
this year.
Right.
I suppose I could ask, but what does that do for us? I don't know.
Well, if it did for us, that Aaron Worthley does the data crunching and modeling like we saw, I think that's incredible. I think I'll send it to you to see what you think, because maybe you wouldn't agree, or maybe it's not, I don't know, maybe it's not what the town wants. Are there things like grants? Are there monies for things, or not so much that we could get at the last minute to throw this in? Or?
Well, we already, as you can see in here, the final project meeting, they have that it's budgeted separately.
Should I make a copy?
Sure. And I can't quite honestly say if that is because we had agreed last time that they would do certain presentations, or if it was, okay, my memory is bad, but we did discuss having the Conservation Commission fund additional outreach after the report was done, because we wanted to have them present at public forums where people would get a good explanation of what was done.
That makes sense. So are you indicating that, I'm not really a money person, so I probably shouldn't even pursue this conversation, but are you indicating that the final project meeting budgeted separately is money this committee does not have to give them? And in fact, that has to come from somewhere, never mind modeling has to come from somewhere, even that has to come from. Okay. Okay. So there.
Well, we could ask.
But if we could come up,
So here's what I think I'll do.
Okay.
I'll talk to Brad. Is an extension possible? Can we pay for something this year, and that kind of thing. So that'd be number one. And if we can get an extension, then we can have a conversation with Arrowwood about, okay, how many hours do you have left? We want to decide what you do with that.
Okay.
And is that enough hours to pay for this modeling that we've seen?
Okay.
Or not. And if not, I don't think that your budget would be enough to pay for that. So what we really want then is that money to go into them being present at these public meetings, I think.
Right. So you are asking, first of all, for time extension because that's an issue for the town. The other issue is there's no money budgeted for it. Do you think, or could you find out if you don't know, that Arrowwood has, at the end of this, all the information they have, that Aaron could do that modeling another year if we could get a grant for it? Or would they say at that point, well, no, because, at the time that we were doing this, we didn't do enough tracking. And so if you put more money into, or we didn't do enough habitat, assessment, and if you had just put in that habitat assessment, we could do, I don't know. I don't know that any of that makes sense, but just if Aaron could do it at another time, whether it's a year from now, a year and a half from now, we get grants, would we have everything he needs? Or what else would he need? Or even if we have money that could go toward Aaron now, if it would really take 200 hours and he has 30 hours now, I'd just be curious to know, would that 30 hours be setting the basis for the 200, or is he going to have to redo all of that? Like that take 30 off of that 200 or not? I've never been on the end of having to budget. I work for a business that says it's going to cost us this much, you pay us, the engineering business, or so. Never been on the other end of trying to find the money for it.
Wow.
Is that okay that you ask them that? You could tell me that I have to do this. I just don't know what I'm talking about, really. I don't have any.
You know what I like about when you ask people things? You're very specific. I sort of ask them questions and then make all kinds of assumptions about what they told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I'm happy.
It would be good to have you and whoever on a call with me. Maybe
I'm probably a hammerer. That's the problem.
Well,
No,
it's better.
but you ask in a nice way about it.
It's also I think one of the benefits to me is I'm always ignorant. So when I ask, I'm always asking for some education on it.
Which
too.
is
So maybe it's
great. Yeah.
Good.
All right, so we have a starting point there.
All right, so we've got you down as, you will try to, do you have to be clear about who that is?
Hi, how are you, Anton? We're fine. Do you have a meeting tonight?
We do, yeah, we'll go upstairs.
Okay.
Is it?
You have a meeting today?
I have
a natural resource meeting, yeah.
I have that map that we need to give him to, we haven't.
Oh, yes. Oh, we do. All right. We should tell him.
Okay. So Sandy, you are going to.
So you outline what I'm doing, so I'll make sure I got it right.
All right, you are going to try and figure out how to make contact with them or when to talk about this information.
After I talk to Brad.
After you talk to Brad. So you're going to talk to Brad. And then after that, you're going to coordinate a discussion with Aaron. Now, do you mind if I throw in one other thing related to that?
Sure.
So I, as you know, have been getting these wildlife sightings. And currently I don't think this is too off topic because I want to talk to you about what Aaron said to me. So I have 68 peppered through the town. I believe we can talk about how, if we want to get more or not later, and how to do that. But I was thinking, I started putting this into a spreadsheet because I was thinking, how does Arrowwood need this information? Are they going to look here and then look at my sheet, turn it to number 59 and say, but what's there? And then, is that worth their time? Can we save money with Arrowwood by trying to get them what they need? So I asked that question, and the answer was, I believe, and I wanted to look it up, I should have refreshed myself, what's the best format for this to be in? And I believe Aaron said that he could make a map for me to transfer those dots onto, to pin on a map so that it could be cross-referenced with my spreadsheet. But what he could do even more, and I don't know if this is what he could do and would want to do to make it easier for them in the long run, is to make a map where I could pin, and when I pin, I fill out the database so they don't have to cross-reference and say, oh, that's where there were 3 deer. They click on it and it says 3 deer, the pin on the map. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't exactly know if he was saying, I can do this for you guys if you'd like this, because it might be something you can use for the public, which actually is what he said. And I think it was Moncton or somebody that they had done it for, which to me only looked like they had maybe 24 on their map. We've already got 68, and I was hoping for more. And it's for public buy-in too, you know, and to have it digitally. So I don't know if he was saying absolutely, which is another thing I could ask, that this would save their time. He might put 5 hours into making, or 2 hours into making the map, but it's going to save them 10 hours. Or not. So I just need to know, and then that's paying him to do that out of what else we were paying him. So that's part of that question too.
Yeah, I would rather they didn't spend time doing that, because it will take time to do that. But and then how do you get it into a form that's useful to them?
It's useful.
If
for them.
Yeah.
And he also tried to make this point that it was part of the storyboard they made for Moncton or something. So if we were to have something on a storyboard, we either have a picture of this somewhere and nobody can really follow it, or we have this storyboard that includes, oh look, what was there? What's there? Oh, what's there? You know. So
that is very valuable, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just read what he said about that here in this email. So we've discussed the option for collecting local sightings. This is more of a local engagement exercise than scientific, yeah. But we can support that with an online mapping tool if that's desired. We'd need data to start getting collected really soon to pull any of our analysis, but that's not a requirement. I don't really get that.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, they either need it or they don't. And when do they need it? What is really soon, like tomorrow, or is it 2 weeks from now? I did ask them that question. I did not get that answer. So Karen.
It's too bad Ryan isn't here. He could probably do something like this, where he would create the GIS map and plug in the points that you have on there. And then it's pretty easy to, I don't know, have you worked with databases? You can actually do it in Excel, where you could have a number associated with a whole variety of findings, because that's basically what you have, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I can create that part of it, but then it has to be linked somehow to whatever is spatial. But that's, I think that part is really pretty easy once you.
Or the digital points on the map, the information you put into the digital points then populates a spreadsheet or a database, right? One where it doesn't, one way or the other, or the spreadsheet populates that, or that populates
either way,
that.
Yeah.
So this is what he said, and this is what I didn't include you on this, Karen. I just included Sandy. So here's the thing. I asked him basically, you know, what's the easiest? How should it be best organized and presented for your use? And he ended up saying simply, hi Penny and Sandy, how about it if I set up an online map and you can transfer the point labels to your map, on your map, to digital numbered points on the web map. From there, it's very easy for me to tie together the spreadsheet information. I gave him the link to the spreadsheet I was starting with the geographic points. if you'd like, I can set up the online map to be able to acquire the new information and bypass the spreadsheet altogether for future entries. So I'm sure I wasn't satisfied enough with that and had to ask him something else.
Oh.
And so he said, and I said, would we want to trust the public to use an online map with entering pins and descriptions? And as in, would they get confused? Would it be accurate? And Aaron, are you aware of communities doing that, allowing the public to directly input onto a web map? And you feel the process is user-friendly, fairly mistake-proof, and the information is reliable. Up to this point, I have transcribed most of the public's oral description. Sandy has set up a form that allows public input that I had intended to transcribe to the spreadsheet. Okay, and then he says, we've done it with several towns. It's not without risk, but so far we haven't had any abuse issues. I was wondering more about people being able to figure it out issues.
So I think we decided at our last meeting, we don't want to do that.
Yes.
Because timing, and we don't have time to do the online mapping thing.
Right.
So we'll just say no to that part. And I guess what I think we should do is to input the data, and I don't mean you have to do it all. Maybe we could divide it up somehow and enter it
into an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then using the location information, the numbers, we might be able to have Ryan digitize them so that it could be sent to Arrowwood so they don't have to. But if not, then we need to get them your map so that they can quickly digitize it and use the information that you put in.
I think that would be, I'm just afraid that they won't be able to, it will take them so much time to figure it out. They'll disregard the information, or they'll chew up information, chew up hours by trying to look at this map and compare it to a spread. He didn't even offer me that. I said, what format do you need? I have this visual, I have this spreadsheet. What format do you need all this in to make it useful for you? And he immediately said, I need a map with digital points on it so that can be correlated with the spreadsheet. You can put them on, Penny. Or I could even have a map that shows the digital information shows up on the points so you could use it in a storyboard. So then I was asking him, are you intending that the public put the dot? And he was saying here, well, sometimes some towns have, sometimes it's just the Conservation Commission that does the putting the pins on. And here's this link, which I just sent out again, to Moncton. And so you can click on the points and see what's that point right there doesn't have a number on it, because it's not that the public would have to look and say, what was that 63? It's that they click there and they say, oh, there were 2 muskrats and a snipe there or something.
And what I'm saying is we can have Ryan do that.
Ryan can do that. Okay. Ryan can do that. And is Ryan who's a busy guy, right? I mean, are we all,
this is a really, this
isn't that.
If you had a GIS knowledge, this is a really easy ask.
Okay. So Ryan would do this, and would we have this done to give to them? And what are we giving to them? Is Ryan coming up with, Ryan and you together, however you do it, coming up with a digital map? Like, could you click? You don't get this email here on your thing, or that is you. Yeah. Karen, I sent it to you also. I just sent it to you.
I should have brought my laptop.
I can show you mine. I'm happy to show you mine.
So I'm going to the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Moncton Sightings web app.
Oh,
you know what? This is different than the storyboard.
Wait, this is what they use to track the different amphibians.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. ArcGIS.
Yeah, this is exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah.
So what Ryan will do is he'll create these points digitally so that they'll have that. And what they will do is, well, Ryan might be able to
So
do.
does Ryan need to put a note? I mean, how are they coordinated? Is Ryan, who's saying this blue dot right here maps to the coyote frequently seen by Elizabeth Paquette? I'm just not understanding this.
This is so cool, though.
But you
Yeah,
can
this is
you can
like
figure out how to do it.
Yes.
So how does it? I guess what I'm saying is
Maybe
one,
you don't have to know.
I don't have to know, but what do I need to do? Do I need to put
Put
things
it in
into
an
the database?
Excel sheet with the numbers.
With
and
the
numbers will
with
be
the number.
associated with these dots,
Okay.
which will then pull up the data that you
Okay.
have.
As long as whoever's mapping it has a number 68 on here,
Mhm.
whoever you or he can put that on here and know that it goes with 68 on the spreadsheet and somehow create this.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. I don't have to know and I don't want to know. But my other question is, would this be done in time for Arrowwood to use it?
Well, that's up to us. I think it will be. I think we just need to get it to them. Maybe we can do another request on Facebook to have people give us their data. I don't know if we want to do one more. Did you go to the library at all?
No. What I found out from doing what I've done at maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different venues is if I'm not standing there, it doesn't get done. And
Right.
so I've tried to go to places where there are lots of people coming by, and I think I should maybe take it to Green Up Day. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think Green Up Day would be
a good
good.
place for it.
Yeah.
What's the date of Green Up Day?
It's May 4th.
4th. So I think May 4th will be our last day of collecting that.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, we can start, entering the data so that we're almost there at that point.
Okay.
That gives them all of May to use it.
Okay. Now, so one of the things I was thinking of personally sending out emails to people I know in different sections of town and asking them for wildlife sightings. Like, we don't have anything on this around the Silly Hill Road area. I was going to email Meg and ask her if
maybe she could do that.
I could just
Betsy
email.
Walkerman, too.
Right.
Yeah.
I could just email the link to your form and say, could you fill this out? However, you know what I didn't pursue last night is that Lori Graham, who's on the Conservation Commission, said, I really wish that I could organize that form differently or modify that form, because she said, I tried to use it. It was too confusing to how I would report something, so I just didn't do it. So, and I didn't grab it at that moment. I forgot to say, well, tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So I don't know. Is it? Did we try? We give it a try.
Why don't you
maybe contact Lori and see?
Yeah, have Lori give me a call,
Okay.
and then I can modify it if there's a way that makes it easier.
And the other thing is deciding, only because it is a bit tedious to enter this information, which I have already started.
Yes.
Is to decide what exactly we're asking. We started asking what month and year, right? So now you cut on your form to just the year,
Yeah.
right? So this says a little bit, maybe different things. I don't know. As for species.
Well, look at what they have when you click on one, what they say for the black bear.
Okay.
The location, crossing Pond Road from forest to field, who's the name, who the collector was, and the sighting date.
All right, and was that a notes? What was that, like location notes and sighting notes?
No, so here, if you do the black dots, you get bear.
Yeah.
And if you do the red dots, you might get.
Right, but I mean, it's location notes and sighting notes is what it's called.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
You know what, Penny? I will create a data form that will make it as easy as possible to enter the data. You say you've already
I've already started.
started.
It's a Google form, I believe. Can I just
Okay.
share it with
Yep.
you? And okay.
And I might modify it to make it easier. You know, sometimes you can do pull down menus. So if there's like 6 that you almost always see, we can have them, you know, you won't have to type them in every time and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
The other weird thing is, though, I swear to God, when I looked at this before, I shouldn't say that when I'm being recorded, but maybe it was something else that I clicked on it and the dot, when you clicked on the pin, it was a pin. Maybe it was another one he sent me, not a dot, it was a pin. And when, you know, like since they have in Google Maps, you know, like teardrops.
Yes.
When you clicked on the pin, there was a flyout, and it was just a really simple flyout, and it said, bear, year, this. It was just right on the pin there was a flyout. So I don't know where I saw that. And it wasn't instead a you know, an information bar that came up. Maybe it's something he sent me. So that's what I was thinking he was making for us, the pin flyout. Okay, I'll share that with you. So I was going to contact people by email. I will wait until Lori and you connect, and then you'll let us know what to do, if we should put it on Facebook. Karen has some sort of in on Facebook.
Well, I just have an account, but there are two, excuse me, Underhill Facebook sites.
Right. And I'm not on Facebook, so I don't ever see that.
Good, you're not, but yeah.
That's my claim to fame. And the other thing I was thinking, I mentioned this last night to Karen, but I don't know if I'm being paranoid or not, but I thought another angle that we could put on Front Porch Forum, just another marketing ploy, is give us your what is it? Not webcam, it's
game camera.
Game cam. Give us your game cam sightings, or want to share your game cam sightings, and people could share it. But people who use game cams, I don't. These might be people who don't want to share. The other thing about the forum is
they don't have to. You know, it's all optional.
Well, I wonder if we should take their initials instead of their names. Do you think that that's offensive to some people on this map? Do you think they're uncomfortable that they have their name associated with something? No, you don't think so? How is it that you live on my side of town and you don't have these same thoughts I do?
I don't really think people would be offended either, actually.
No,
I think if anybody has a problem, they won't do it.
So I know, well, I'm afraid that's like 99% of people that I haven't gotten yet. Okay.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, you can't worry about all those things.
Okay.
You know? It's all voluntary.
Okay.
All right, so we have a game plan.
With the game?
With a game cam.
So I'll work on the form. You'll send me the Google Connect.
Yeah.
I think I'll take your map today and see if I can do some digitizing, if that's all right with you.
Yes, let me see if I have photographed it, or I can photograph it one more time.
Okay.
I suppose I don't need to see it. If you have it, I want to make sure if anything happens to it, we have it.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's not going to start her with so far with it.
No.
But what if she has an accident? It gets destroyed.
I know, it's precious.
Very precious.
Do you want to follow her home to make sure, or drive it?
I've already insured it. Yes. Okay. I'll take a picture of it just to make sure I have that.
So that'll be that part. We'll enter the data. We'll collect more data on Green Up Day. And
more in person.
In person. Right? I'll get with Lori and see if the form needs revising, and then let you know, and you can post the link on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, you're getting with Lori, or I'm having Lori contact you. Do you have Lori?
Well, no.
Oh, okay, I'll get Lori. All right. Yep. Then we'll wait to hear from you before we repost anything with a form, or before I send out
just
emails.
To make sure it's as good as we can make it.
Okay.
And you'll do Facebook. And does somebody want to do a Front Porch Forum with Game Cam?
Yeah, I will.
You want to do that? Okay. So we'll get more input on that. All right, so that's our observations on that.
Yes.
And we will hope for the best on that.
And when are we going to be doing the posting on Facebook? After the database
After the
has been-
form, after the
has been
form has been
modified or-
modified,
Yeah.
right.
Just make sure with Laura that, I don't know what.
Maybe I misunderstood her, but isn't that
Well,
what she
that's
said?
okay, you know,
I
well,
think that is
Find out.
sort of what she said, yeah.
Okay.
so the other thing I was thinking, it is 7:20. So we have a plan for Arrowwood, sort of. And what I wanted to do was look at our calendar and try to make sure we're going to be able to do things that we want to. Because we won't be meeting again until May 21st.
Oh, right.
So at that point, we will want to be able to set some of our summer activities for outreach and that kind of thing. And it might be good to check in with Arrowwood now to see about their availability. And I don't know, let's just talk about how we would want this to go out, you know. I can imagine that first it would be good to make sure that the Conservation Commission, the Planning Commission, Select Board get a presentation.
I think so.
It may likely be something that then is also open to the public, since it's all these committees at one time, right? So I guess that would be the public presentation where they would provide their results, and then I know things got changed a lot because of COVID, and we talked so much about not having like an outdoor, having a meeting where there were maps and people could go to each one and look and that kind of thing. Maybe that presentation should include that sort of thing, like before, a half hour before the presentation, there's maps and people can go and look, where's my property and what's what and that kind of thing. There's a presentation, and then afterwards there's additional, and I would love it if Arrowwood was there for all the questions and answers and kind of thing. So we want to make sure it's at a time when people can come,
Yeah.
I think once we get into July, people are like on vacation or something.
So it's while kids are still in school, for instance, what might be
Maybe,
the
like
Quite tight, though.
it'll be very tight.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, they won't even have, the end of their contract would be the end of June, right? So they're, either they do it while they're still engaged with us, or we use conservation funds to pay them and we create a new contract and make that all happen, which often just right at when in July, I don't think they like to make new contracts then because they don't have any money, right? Because they have to, the town.
The town?
Oh,
Well, the town has money that we budgeted and voted for at town meeting.
did we budget a lot for this committee?
Oh, no, the Conservation Commission got what, maybe $3,000. I mean,
Yeah.
So Sandy,
said,
is that the final project meeting? Is that what you're thinking was their description of the final project meeting when they would do the presentation, basically? It's presentation to the public.
Yeah.
And is
All
it
right.
just one?
Well, it isn't even paid for or thought through, right?
Right.
If we had $1 million, we could say, here's $1 million, and they could give 50 of those presentations,
Mhm.
right? So we need to find out.
Oh, it says final
What's
project
involved.
meeting budgeted separately.
Right.
Oh, and could we have, I was just thinking of the logistics of getting the select board in the same
Exactly.
room with the planning commission. I mean,
Exactly. It has to be like a Saturday thing, a hearing. I mean, that's what we did with the town plan hearings.
Mm.
We had one on a Saturday, we had one on an evening. I don't know, there were 3 different ones.
So I'm just wondering this. This might be outrageous thought, but when I talked with Jens about when is the best time to approach the public, he said mud season or stick season. Is it something that wants to wait till school's in September, or is that not? I mean, what is the point of this?
Well, I know for the planning commission that we have been waiting to do zoning stuff based on these results. So I know as soon as possible they will want to dig into it, and it's, it'd be better if they had some guidance about what it all means.
now that would be much better. Well, maybe what we should do is organize the presentations around the planning commission availability. Because they're customer number 1. We have to get the select board on board, though, I suppose. And I mean, I can see the planning commission come up with all these things, select board still don't have a clue as to what was going on because they haven't come. But maybe they can try to be there at a planning commission meeting. And the town could always, remember, everything is online, right? It's videoed. So people
We can record the presentation.
yeah, and then have it. Our new website in town is not. I find it not user friendly, but we could then say if you missed the presentation, you can go to Mount Mansfield TV or whatever, or
You can always just do a direct link.
and then they could watch. So it's not because I'm thinking soon it's going to be baseball for kids at night. Those baseball games go on for hours. Saturdays then become sports days until the end of June with kids. Every Saturday they're going to a high school so it would maybe. I mean, I think what I'm hearing Sandy say is it's better to. The planning commission would like it information sooner rather than later, like waiting until October is.
Well, what if conceivably you really wanted to hit the public with a lot of different efforts for this information, for activities, for engagement, and it's just too hard close to the summer, or it's getting too tight now. Would it be possible, and I'm guessing not, to make a presentation to the committees and the select board and have the planning commission start thinking about what they're doing, and then hold off till the fall, till September, to have big town involvement in it? Or is that not considered transparent enough, and people are going to maybe look at some presentation videos and be worried about what is happening, and we don't even know what's going on, and this hasn't, will that be a problem? But it sounded to me like what Jericho did and what successful towns have done to get engagement is to just have a lot of activities around it. And do we have time to do that, as you say, before families get busy? It seems like
and it's not just the time for me, it's the expertise. And I know what was done and that kind of thing, but explaining it takes You
A
know,
lot of thought.
it takes a lot of thought, and the questions they're going to ask are ones where I know I'm going to mumble over what the answers are, and that's
Right.
not going to come off good.
No, and we
Um,
need to hit it strong. I'd rather take time to get some tight, to do role playing, even to figure out answers, to figure out how to and do it strongly. And I don't know if you remember, we told you maybe a couple of meetings ago, Karen, that we talked to Sabina, and she had sent us some ideas of what they did, and they even manned a hotline. Like different members took a hotline that you could call in and ask your questions and give concerns, and Conservation Commission members would say, let me help you with that concern. And so they'd be able to talk to that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, but that is, we really have to like come up to speed on that. And I'm still having problems with just people saying, I don't even want to tell you about my wildlife because the state wants it, and I don't want the state to know anything about my business. And I don't even know how to answer that other than freezing and saying, oh, okay, so I,
you know what we should do is we should engage with Jens.
yeah.
We should get him to, that's sort of what he's about, is helping us with the public.
Yeah.
And, maybe he says it won't be a good time of year, but, he might be able to help us figure out, okay, how many sessions do you want? And, if you just have one with the planning commission, it's going to leave people out, and like you say, they're going to, not embrace the results if they
From the
don't know
get-go.
what they are. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we can't imagine that the planning commission would want to put this off farther because the planning commission really wants to begin doing something with it. Yeah.
They want to just do rezoning. They want to adjust boundaries. I mean, yeah. We've been waiting an entire year to pursue this avenue, so waiting like until October just doesn't seem like a good plan.
But Sandy, what Jericho did, for instance, how they ended up modifying their zoning regs, and I do think it's maybe the select board and the planning commission that does this. I don't think it's the
Well, the select board has to. Oh, I see what you mean.
For Jericho. But what they did was they had these overlay districts, which I mentioned before that Sabina showed us, that are based on these maps of that sort of thing, of priorities. And it kicks off in subdivision review that they need to get the advice of the Conservation Commission, and that the DRB look carefully at these. But it doesn't say, she said there is in no way they could ever say you can't build here or there. No one would ever accept that. So really what it is informing the public for buy-in, informing the developer, and giving some heft to the DRB for saying, that's a really sensitive area. Of course you can develop it, but maybe you should have your house here, is what I'm suspecting was done. Sabina, I asked her, how many of these have kicked in, these red flags? And she said half a dozen. And what has the result been? And she said, I don't know if they took our advice or not on it. So it didn't have,
They don't have.
it didn't have any more teeth than, but that may be enough. But it requires the community to say, that red zone, you're right. That's some sort of forest connector, and we don't really want development in there. And it's part of my house, my yard, and I was going to subdivide, and I'll rethink this. That's what we need the buy-in to be. Nobody's going to go for changing zoning, I don't think.
Yeah, I think in areas like Waitsfield, where they have decided that they're not going to do a lot of development in certain places. I don't know how that decision has been made, whether it's
whether the select board and the planning commission together, or whether it's the community, right?
Or is it the community that just said, this is a connector, let's not have a lot of,
Development.
development, and
Impinging
it could be retail development for all I know, but, that's
Right.
what, Jens, that's his specialty. Is
So
to-
maybe it's asking
Yeah.
Jens about how does he think, how long in his experience is a rollout,
Mhm.
and what kind of changes is he aware of that towns make? I don't,
Or how.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'll talk to Jens and
okay. You
At
noodle
least
around with that.
start-
You noodle around with that.
start the discussion, and then we'll come back to that at our May meeting and figure out how we want to go from there. And by then, we'll know more about Arrowwood's budget and, how much of the Conservation Commission budget we want to use. Yeah, a lot of things that way.
We don't have a lot of money that,
Right.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
but
Well, Jens, that'll be free. So
Yeah,
that'll
Jens will
good,
be.
But yeah.
and he may have some really good insights.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Have we gotten everything we wanted to? Yes. Wildlife progress, wildlife sightings, and next steps.
I do have a question for you both. Your opinion. I think I would like to progress the discussion with Brad about getting a frame for one of those sandwich boards for maps or whatever, signs or whatever. But the question is this: what I originally sent to him was for the big tree map.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like a year ago, and the big tree map was this huge 30 by 40 map, right?
Right.
Would we want that size? Would we use that size, or would we want something smaller? And I even the poundage, the weight of is 30 pounds for the 30 by 40, which is the heavier metal one. So this is a standard 2 by 3. And so if you had a sandwich board, it would be like this. A 30 by 40 is, more like almost this size here, and it would be standing like this. 30 by 40, just ratchet it up in your mind about how much. So this is 24, it'd be 30. This is 36, it'd be 40. So it'd be that much bigger. So what sort of frame do we want? How would we use it? I could see us using it if the Conservation Commission could make some sort of graphic to even promote the Conservation Commission. This could be at Green Up.
Green Up, yes.
Tell how long I've lived in town.
Yeah.
So this is the size of a map. If we were to put a map in it for any reason, what would we use it for? Do we want to promote this getting a frame for a sign or not? I think Arrowwood, for instance, we wouldn't use it for that unless we're promoting something because they want to keep something high, on an easel to show people. It would be something lower that people would be.
So that sounds like a Conservation Commission discussion.
Okay, you don't feel like there's anything we need for.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should bring that up, but that's
In
gonna
a
be
month.
in a
Because
month.
I didn't think about it this month.
Yeah.
So I was hoping for Green Up Day, and I guess we
Green Up.
won't.
Well, we
everything
can
takes
bring
a
that.
month. You gotta bring it up the next
Well,
month.
we have special meetings too, but I'm just trying to think of with what's going on with.
We'll forget it for the Green Up Day. We can do it next month. I'll bring it up next month. Everything just takes time.
Well, don't you want to bring that to Green Up Day?
Yes, but that, I don't think we would be fitting it in the frame anyway because of the thickness of it.
Right.
I don't think it would fit in the frame. And we wouldn't want people to, and if they want to put something on it, the frame actually has some plexiglass, plexiglass.
So we don't want to do that. Has to be finished.
No, yeah, the Green Up Day, for the Green Up Day, I was just thinking it might be a poster about the Conservation Commission. Join our Conservation Commission. This is what we're doing, or a big blow up of the educational events or something on this big sign. That's what I was just imagining, but we can wait. It's been 50 years already.
Well, wait, the wind may be blowing or it could be raining.
I know, I think I'll be standing there with it.
I think I want to have Don Toby come too, though, and do another how to measure a big tree, even though, I mean, everyone was really interested in, the kids were so enthralled with it, but we didn't get any more entries for big trees.
Yeah.
But then he could talk about ash borers or something too, or what's.
Is that at a particular time, or he'd go out a few times? We'll talk about that conservation commission, sorry.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we would want to do at Green Up Day related to this project, I guess?
So I was just imagining that I would be there, hoping it's not a windstorm, and if it was, I was gonna go look and see if I could screw the map into something, like a building.
Yeah.
The metal building, and just trying to solicit some more sightings was all I could think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, to me, that's about all you can do right now.
I don't have I don't want to use the word pitch, but I don't have an good explanation of beyond this, because I haven't thought carefully about it. And so I'm not really comfortable saying much more than we're the mapping committee. We want to understand our resources. When you understand your resources, you then have better information for what you might want to do about your resources, whether it's education or whatever, you know. That's all I've got. So I really can't promote more than that personally, because I just don't have it in my brain yet.
Yeah, but then I guess when they ask me, I might say, well, the survey that we did with the town of Underhill wanted to maintain a rural character, and we do want to find out the components of that character, where the wildlife is, or the wetlands. Well, we're not doing that necessarily on here, but things like that. Like, would it be of interest to you to know that the first or mid-April, a lot of amphibians start crossing the roads, for example. And I know that actually, you don't know this, Sandy, but my youngest son was part of Jim Andrews's work and, walking the roads at night, drizzling rain. Speaking of that, I saw a spotted salamander.
Did you?
Yeah, right by my house.
Oh, you get it all, Karen.
I mean, he just was right by the foundation of the house. And then he decided to go down the hole that was next to this house. And I went, oh no, he's going to get stuck down there. So I picked him up. And when I picked him up, with my hands,
Did he slime you?
No, well, I'm not worried about that. He was a little soft, like, no.
Yeah, kind of squishy.
Yeah, he's sort of squishy. So I moved him, and he just was like this, And then when I walked away, he scurried off.
Probably your hand was very warm compared to the ground or something.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But I don't understand why he was traveling away from the pond, because they're looking for vernal ponds to lay their eggs. And my pond is not a vernal pond. I mean, it's got fish and.
Maybe that's why he's moving away from it.
Yeah, but
where's the vernal pond?
Where's the closest vernal pond? It's going to be miles over,
Fill up your bathtub.
Oh. I was quite excited about them. I'm very excited about them because they're so
interesting.
Yeah, they're really interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so we'd want to say, these are where the salamanders are, or turtle crossings.
So Karen, I actually kind of thought through that in my head. I was talking to people about that in my head, and I thought, and somebody's going to say to me, "Oh, our tax dollars toward an amphibian crossing, huh?" I thought, oh, I better throw in. We could get volunteers to help the salamanders cross the road. Which they do in some towns, right? Volunteers go out with their flashlights.
Well, that's what the story is I sent you. It's.
Oh, I think you told me about it.
The digger, it's a digger story. I think it was on VPR perhaps as well, someplace. Anyway, they probably do.
Yeah.
I I think we're good. I don't know if I mentioned Jeff sent me a picture of an otter he saw. And he
Oh,
said, oh, this is one of 3 different sightings I've had. And yeah.
Oh, really?
so
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Do we?
Okay.
So I'm gonna send you right now.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.